Hello again, and welcome to another edition of the Middle Class Voice, hopefully an audio-visual presentation because we're experimenting with recording on good old digital audio technology along with iPad video.
Oh, my God.
This
is pretty high-tech.
I should have worn something nice.
This is nice.
This is nice. We just finished working out, so no, we don't look our best. I was benching 450, of course, routinely, and I break a sweat when I do that.
I was benching Chuck.
Which is even more impressive. Folks, I'm Chuck Vipperman. He's Dave Glue-Harif, and this is the Middle Class Voice, an effort to try to open up political discussion to folks like us, folks who work, folks who pay taxes, folks who do not have a regular time slot on CNN, Fox, or MSNBC, people who are interested in people like you, people who simply want to try to raise the level of debate a little bit and try to make sense of what is increasingly becoming a nonsensical world that we live in. Later this evening on our webpage, and we invite you to look us up on Facebook if you haven't already, the Middle Class Voice, Dave is going to have what we're calling Dave's diatribe. Now, Dave is a political independent who, and again, I'm going to continue to pat him on the back for this as long as I can. He was the first, before any of the pundits or any of the people who are paid to say such things, he was the first to say, Trump might win this. And he was absolutely right. And we're not just talking the Republican primary. We're talking about the general election, where it was pretty much assumed by everybody, me included, that Hillary Clinton was going to be the next president. Dave was the first, even before all the pundits said, I think it's going to happen. And I'll let you revisit that and talk a little bit more about how we came to have a billionaire reality television star as the president of the free world.
Well, it's true, Chad. If you think about how this was set up, you think about Trump winning, not only beating the Democrats, but also beating out all the other Republicans. We've talked about this plenty of times before. But when the meat of this is the ineptness of Washington, the failures of the left, the failures of the right created Trump.
Right.
He wouldn't have run if he didn't think he had a chance. He knew he had a chance with it. And again, I wasn't a Trump fan to start with any of this. I think my biggest deal was, as an independent, is try to find somebody more middle of the road, not extreme left, not extreme right. I actually liked Kasich for a while. Really liked him. But I think when you look at all of the bashing of Trump from when he came down that escalator, and then you look at the bashing from the left, bashing from the right, it just hit the other day what this article is going to be about, is discussing the right ripped him apart just as much as the left.
Sure.
The Rubio, Mitt Romney, goodness gracious. I mean, he really picked on him. But I think you have the ineptness, the failure to produce for the American public.
But your argument is going to be, and to me it's a sound argument, it's certainly worth exploring, is that the political climate that we've experienced the past decade plus, really, past couple of decades, and the lack of seriousness sometimes in Washington created the climate for someone like Trump to not only run, but to win.
And if you look at how hard he's working, forget if you agree or don't agree, just forget on just actual hard work and taking action. Don't pick apart any words he says, just easy to do, or the foul mouth stuff.
That's shooting fish in the barrel there.
That's an easy one. But if you look at how hard he's working, imagine if everybody in the House and Senate did that. Imagine if everybody could reach across the aisle, which he's starting to. In things like prison reform, he's working with the left. There's a few things he's not getting a lot of credit for. But when you look at how hard Trump works and how he outworks everybody, imagine if they all worked that hard for their paycheck. They're supposed to represent us, and they didn't. So Trump, you had the Bush dynasty. You had Jeb Bush coming in there, and you had Hillary Clinton from the Clinton dynasty. Neither of them made it. That wasn't Russia. Russia didn't do that. Russia didn't help him beat Jeb Bush and Marco Rubio and Fiorina. Russia and Putin didn't do that.
You can say, quite frankly, the same press that now loathes him pushed him through in the primary because he was good for ratings. I mean, let's be honest. He sold. People tuned in to see what he was going to say next. People tuned in to see what he was going to do next or what others are going to say about him. He made money for the 24/7 7 cable networks, and I think one estimate is that he got $2.2 billion worth of coverage.
Oh, yeah.
That if you bought it in terms of advertising, it would have accounted for $2.2 billion.
I think Anderson Cooper stuck up for Trump during the campaign. This was the primaries. I think it was Fiorina who was upset. I don't think it was Cruz. I think it was Fiorina who was upset and said, "Will you give Trump more coverage?"
Right.
He says, "We call on every one of you," and Trump is the first one. His people are the first ones to call and accept an interview, radio, on air, live.
Accessible and responsive.
He's accessible and he accepts it, and he worked his butt off with it.
Yeah.
And I think, when you look at the last few days when I believe Obama was campaigning for Hillary, and he was in, North Carolina State, down in Raleigh.
Yeah.
And he said, if you want to continue my legacy, vote for. Forget whether you like Obama or not. That legacy was denied.
Yeah.
The Bush legacy was denied. This is nothing personal just to Hillary. Everybody keeps mixing this up like this was Hillary and Trump. This was Trump versus everyone.
Yeah.
And on a shoestring budget, this guy beat out everyone. I mean, there were, in the last 10 years, everything I've read going up to the 2016 election, it was going to cost nearly $1 billion to become president.
Right.
And so, and I don't know the figures for him, maybe $150 million is what he ended up using compared to Hillary. And then all the free press, like you said, billions in the free press and advertising that he got. But he beat everyone.
Yeah.
And we America, Washington, created Trump, because if everyone was doing their jobs, this wouldn't have happened. And
your thesis is, and I think it's a sound one, is that a satisfied country with a government that has represented their best interests in a situation like that, Trump does not happen.
Right.
The climate does not lend itself to someone like Trump being able to become president in a country where everyone is, where the government is doing what it's supposed to, and everyone else is satisfied with it, or a majority.
And don't be surprised if he gets reelected, because the problem here is the left has no message. We asked this of our own,
other than we hate Trump's guts. They nailed that message.
That's the only message right now. Mainstream media keeps covering trash. People can say there might be something, there's yet to come collusion, there's yet to come stuff about the strippers, the Russian hookers, the dossier, whatever. There is nothing yet. We're going on close to 2 years now, and there's nothing. So if you're going to waste 2 years instead of saying, kill them with kindness like the Democrats could be doing. And again, as an independent, I'm hoping some Democrats come in, because I'm frustrated as heck with a lot of Republicans.
At some point, your message has to be more than we're not Trump. And that was one thing I was, in terms of someone who had, some serious misgivings about President Obama. In the 2012 election with Mitt Romney, I wanted them to come up with some other message than, we're not Obama.
Right.
That's great. We know that. What are you, though?
And the obstruction, the obstructionist part of the right is coming back to bite them, because what they did to Obama is coming back to bite them now from the left. And that's the only thing. The Democrats tend to be pretty united. We'll talk about another time, the extreme left right now, which they don't really know who's leading them. But forget that. They're pretty united. The Republicans can't unite. You've got these good old boys. You got the different Freedom Caucus. You have people that McCain can't get it together. What's Kentucky? Got beat up by his neighbor, Rand Paul. You have all these guys and gals.
It's hell that you remember him like that. He's the guy whose neighbor went nuts on him.
Over landscaping, right?
Really?
If we believe that.
Sure.
But you have this happen, and they're not together. Trump beat them too.
Right.
And so the article is going to discuss everything that we were scared into or tried to be scared out of voting for him, the fear tactics from the left and the right. Romney said the economy would collapse. What's the guy's name? The Dallas Maverick owner guy on that Shark Tank show. Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban. All of them have been quoted as saying, economy will immediately collapse.
Pulitzer Prize winning economist Paul Krugman, who has gone off the deep end in the past decade, said he was going to sell all of his stocks in 2016 after Trump's election because the collapse is imminent. Well, it's not happening.
No.
We have, by any metric, an economy that is fairly stable and clearly improving. Now, again, there's always work to be done, and economies rise and fall.
Right.
That's the way capitalism works. And you would look at the big picture, sustained growth, and we have had, quite frankly, sustained growth.
Right.
I don't see how anyone with a straight face can
what was the GDP the other day?
Yeah, 4.1% increase. I don't see how anyone claiming sanity can look at the economy now and say we're in serious trouble.
Right.
No, that's not the case. Now, there's always tweaks to be done, but once you get the engine of capitalism rocking and rolling, you get the hell out of its way.
And studies are showing Democrats now, and polls are believing, if you believe polls, are believing more and more this is Trump and not Obama. Not because of everything that's been laid in there. And that's not you and I's opinion. That's just
at some point. At some point, it becomes Trump's economy. I mean, gosh knows.
But you think about this, Chuck. If we're parents. If you don't parent your kids, and you're not home, your kids are going to gravitate towards, or they're going to be gullible to somebody else. Which is why kids fall into gangs or bad behavior. If you're not doing your job as a parent, and I liken that to this with our Congress. If the House and the Senate are not helping us, they're not parenting us, they're not taking care of us, representing us.
Don't think of government as parents. God knows, don't do that. The libertarian in me just went.
It leaves this opening.
It leaves
for
the vacuum.
somebody.
Exactly. I understand what you're saying.
And so people were fed up. And he did it. And even people on the left were really fed up. If you look at what's the lady's name? Fiorina. Yeah. What was the company she was with? HP?
Yeah.
So if you look at her with there, there's a couple people that had some really good ideas, but he wiped out everybody. And I just don't think people keep thinking Trump Hillary, Trump Russia, he's a Putin tool, all this I think everybody's just missing the mark. He beat out everybody, which is why I don't think we're going to find this Russian collusion.
We gave Ukraine a boatload of U.S. weapons recently. A Putin puppet would not do that.
No.
I'm just saying.
If you look at the sanctions, if you look at the actions of Trump, I think it's clear. If you are a tool, if you are a puppet, you're going to be a bad puppet.
He's the worst one in the world. I will say that. One other thing we'll point on in today's podcast is an article I'm working on actually for Chuck's Common Sense, and I'll share it, of course, with the Middle Class Voices on the renewed fascination with socialism. Bernie Sanders made it cool again in 2016 with his Democratic run. He is a registered socialist from the state of Vermont, and he ran on a campaign 2016 on a kinder, gentler form of the government philosophy that's killed about 100 million people.
Right.
All he had to do was put Democratic in front of it. Somehow ennobles it if people vote for it.
Right.
But the latest bay, if you want to call it that, for democratic socialism from New York's, I believe, 7th District, inner city Queens, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, 28-year-old Bart. It's a great story.
She's smart. She's smart, beautiful, bubbly, charismatic. I like her. I think she's awesome, except for what she says.
She's a dingbat otherwise.
Right.
But it was a great story. She unseated in a primary a long-standing Democrat, one of the Democratic leaders, and it was an absolute upset. Again, a photogenic, charismatic young person who's a bartender with an econ degree. It was a great story. But she's a Democratic socialist, and because she is now in some corners of the Democratic Party being adopted as the new face of democratic socialism, as though a nice friendly face will sell an obscene political philosophy. What I'm going to point out in my article, Dave, is that what Sanders, Cortez, and the others are pushing for is not traditionally socialism. Socialism is where the government owns the means of production, either overtly or
they're owning what they sell.
What they are asking for,
like the post office.
What they want is not socialism. What they want is high tax, high regulation capitalism to pay for free college, free Willie, whatever.
Right.
It's not socialism in that they are relying on capitalism to provide the money to fund all this.
And that's not socialism.
But also, if you want to kill capitalism, you tax it, you regulate it, you interfere with it. Capitalism cannot thrive under those conditions. So, and again, though, there have been many debates on this. When you call them a democratic socialist, when you call them out on being part of a socialist philosophy, oh no, look at Scandinavia. Well, let's look at them. They're capitalist.
Yeah.
There is no public ownership of the means of production in Scandinavia.
Great point.
Their corporate tax rate is more or less the same, perhaps lower than the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
What they do have is a confiscatory personal income tax of 60 to 70% in some cases.
Right.
I don't know about you, Dave. I'm old-fashioned. I don't think the government deserves 60 to 70% of what I make.
Like we trust them to spend it wisely.
Yeah, well, that's a whole trust.
Right.
There's that whole
That's
trust
a separate
thing.
podcast.
So again, we're going to, and again, we're just kind of previewing that tonight. But just some thoughts on this this new, kinder, gentler form of socialism that people are trying to push upon us.
Let me ask you too. How does she think that they're going to pay for it? Like I said, I like her. I think there's so much about her. I give it to her. She worked hard.
Oh yeah, she pounded on doors. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Second, third tier Democrat. I just forgot his name.
Yeah, I have to.
But she takes this guy out. But
Yeah.
she knocked on doors,
Well, she
worked
did
her
it
butt off.
the old-fashioned
She did it
way.
like Trump did it.
Yeah.
She really worked hard. And I think I just cannot put together the numbers. Every interview I've seen with her and I've read, probably
There is no putting
I've spent
together the numbers,
Probably
Dave.
3 or 4 hours the last couple of days just on her, and I can't put it together.
Just to pay for the free college, she is suggesting a tax on the wealthy to pay for free college for everyone.
Carbon tax. She talked about the carbon tax. I mean, you think about that.
Just a cursory run of the numbers indicates you would have to tax the rich at about 75, 80%. That's just to pay for the free college.
Right.
That says nothing about the free health care, free secondary education, or anything else, any of these other pipe dreams. And again, the capitalistic engine that you are relying on to create the revenue to make all this possible will be throttled by the high taxes that you levy upon it.
When you think about the capitalistic engine, also, this is the part people don't talk about, and especially politicians. That capitalistic engine is what helps fund nonprofits.
Sure.
And so people are less likely to donate, not just from local, but all the way up to Red Cross. They're not going to donate to your church if you're getting taxed like that.
I'm going to close out the podcast today with an anecdotal story that I've told by friends of me that work at Averett University. Averett, of course, has had here in Danville, Virginia, has had a long partnership, a long pipeline with Finland. Lots of students from Finland have come to Averett and vice versa. It's kind of a sister school relationship. Several years ago, as part of a capital campaign, several reps from Averett went to Finland to try to generate some donations from alumni. They have many alums in Finland. It failed spectacularly, and the reason was there's no concept of philanthropy in Finland.
Right.
Nice people, superb people, but they have become accustomed to philanthropy being the job of the government.
Right.
And there's no concept of giving in that manner. That doesn't make them bad people, but
Sure.
They have just been in a system where government has been empowered to do all the things that we want to do
Chuck,
here.
we lead the world in philanthropy, if you think about it.
Sure.
We don't have enough money to help our homeless, our veterans, blah, blah, blah. But we somehow find the money to help the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And I my heart likes that, but financially, we're $20 trillion in debt.
The math don't like it,
yeah.
folks.
And if anybody knows philanthropy, it's us.
Yes, sir. Folks, we're going to close out this podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. For those who are enjoying the video, what a guy. Show them the guns, Dave. Go ahead.
I can't.
Come on, man.
It's ice cream.
There. Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the Middle Class Voice. We hope to do this many more times. I'm Chuck. He's Dave. Have a great day.